What up? You want to invest in Pokemon cards. Today we're going to talk about 3 ways you can do so, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. My name is Kyle. This is Spin Out Cards. Be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if Pokemon content is your thing, and I want to be right up front and say that none of what I'm about to say should be considered financial advice. I am someone who has dealt in all 3 of the categories that we're going to talk about today for quite some time, but Pokemon is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It definitely requires a lot of research, oftentimes a lot of patience, and then there is definitely a learning curve that if you can make it through and educate yourself, there's definitely opportunities and gains to be realized when it comes to actually investing in Pokemon. But because of the title of the video, I felt like a quick disclaimer was in order. I noticed there's not a lot of videos that just kind of cover the basics of Pokemon investing, and I'm definitely someone who has a lot of experience in this. I've bought and sold Pokemon cards on the internet for years now. I live stream pack openings, and I attend collecticons with my company, Spin Out Cards, throughout the year. So this is definitely something that I'm very familiar with and would love to talk about. The 3 main points of entry for investing into Pokemon cards would come in the form of singles, graded cards, and sealed product. And today we're going to talk about the basics of all 3 of those. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so first and foremost, we are going to talk about raw cards, fresh from an open pack, Pokemon singles. Now, whether it be when a set first releases or way later on down the road, people are constantly buying and selling Pokemon singles, which in turn makes them a really safe investment. People are looking to complete master sets, they're trying to find really clean copies of cards to try to make graded plays, or they're just picking up their favorites. Every single Pokemon set that releases is going to have chase cards, and singles tend to follow a fairly predictable pricing pattern where in the beginning they're going to be relatively inflated. As more packs are opened, the price tends to come down some or quite significantly, and then slowly over time it'll start to regain that value. So the best way for me to demonstrate this general price movement is to show you an example of a recent card, a recent chase card from a recent set. So this is the Lily's Clefairy EX from Journey Together. Now, at pre-release and release, this card was selling for more than $300 consistently. Over the course of the past month and a half, as more and more packs have been opened, this card now sells for under $200. So what I want you to hear in this is to be patient. You need to be able to learn to watch and expect this sort of price movement. So instead of paying the $300 at release or pre-release, you can allow the packs to be opened, let the card level off, let itself find its bottom, and that's when you're going to want to actually go in and pick up that card, and then you have all the time in the world to watch it increase in value. Another really important piece of information when it comes to actually investing into Pokemon singles is that you really need to be able to recognize and stick with the winners. Now, there are undisputably Pokemon that are more popular than others, and if that particular Pokemon receives a special illustration rare or an alternate art card, it's pretty much a safe bet that the value of that is either going to be maintained or increased faster than others. Just because a card has a ton of hype surrounding it, that doesn't always mean that it's going to perform exactly the same way as other cards that have a lot of hype around them. Perfect example of this is the Miriam. It was the special illustration rare from Scarlet and Violet base. At release, this was definitely considered the chase card from the set. It was selling for $100 plus all day. Today, you can pick up raw copies of this card for $25. So you can't always trust the hype. One final note when it comes to investing into Pokemon singles is to not be so one-track minded. A card doesn't need to be a special illustration rare or an alternate art for it to hold and increase in value. There are subcategories within each set, such as trainer galleries or illustration rares that contain beautiful artwork cards with really desirable Pokemon that you can tend to pick up for a cheaper price point, both initially and later on down the road, that are definitely worth investing into. The second category that we're going to talk about when it comes to Pokemon investing is in graded cards. There's a ton of value in graded Pokemon cards. It's basically advanced singles investing, and the price movements tend to follow a very similar pattern as well. There's a ton of value in graded 10s when it comes to Pokemon cards, and then the value tends to decrease pretty significantly when you go from a 10 to a 9 to an 8. And it's worth mentioning also that grading these cards yourself, grading your own 10s, is definitely the most advantageous way to go about it. Chase cards in 10s from every set is a very safe investment when it comes to investing into Pokemon cards, and there are a lot of advantages into having graded cards as opposed to raw, because one, the condition is guaranteed, and it's also guaranteed to never change. There are basically 3 companies that I would ever say are worthwhile when it comes to grading your own Pokemon cards. Those would be PSA, CGC, and then Beckett. And Beckett primarily only because they offer the black label. So in order to demonstrate the potential value increase between a raw card and a graded version of that card, I'm going to highlight the same 2 cards that I had shown in the raw segment of the video. The Umbreon VMAX alternate art from Evolving Skies, basically call it a $1,700 card raw. In a PSA 10, the most recent sales are $2,200. CGC, the most recent sale is at $1,850. And then in the BGS black label, we're looking at $14,900, $12,000, $16,000. That's how hard it is and rare to actually get a black label. For the Snorlax, call it a $90 card raw. In a PSA 10, it sells for right at about $200. In CGC, we're looking at 120. And then let's see if we can't find one more. A 9.5 for 85, just to demonstrate the price drop off. And then in a black label, most recent sale was $5,000, and then a non-black label version sold for $300. So you can see there is a pretty significant swing when it comes to getting that 10. So again, just another visual representation of how these cards move slowly over time. This is on pokedata.io, a great resource and tool. The PSA 10 Umbreon VMAX, this is the 6-month chart, crept all the way up to nearly $3,000 and then slowly sort of decreased down to the price point that we just saw on eBay, right at around $2,200. The Snorlax Secret Rare from Chilling Reign, more of a straightforward sort of movement over the course of the past 6 months, just slowly increasing to, again, the price point that we were just looking at on the most recent sold on eBay. So when it comes to the investing side of graded cards, there's definitely a couple key pieces of information that I would want to drive home. One is obviously the value. You can see from those examples the pretty significant increase in value from the raw to the graded version. The population report is also a huge part of the desirability of a specific card. Knowing that there are a specific number of 10s, of PSA 10s or CGC 10s in existence definitely increases the desirability to be one of the owners of those cards. And there's a reason why you see cases at conventions filled from top to bottom with graded cards, and the condition being guaranteed is a huge part of that. So the third and final way that people tend to invest into Pokemon is via the means of sealed product. Now, this is a little bit more of a hot topic right now with all the scalping that's going on and fights in Costco's, but in a more normalized market, this is definitely the least risky of the 3 options that we've talked about here today. There's less extreme price swings, there's definitely a gradual increase in value, and it's definitely built for more longer term holding. I want to touch on how you can identify the best sets to invest in, and also the best products to purchase for your investing. So when it comes to actual price points that you want to be looking for to make purchases into positions into sealed Pokemon products, you really want to be at MSRP or as close to MSRP as humanly possible. In a more normalized market, you can even get products for below MSRP. However, in the current climate, I don't know how quickly we're actually going to get back to a place where that's feasible. But a general rule of thumb is the cheaper you can pick up a product, whether it requires you to buy it in bulk or for you to just really be patient in identifying the cheapest price point that you can find, that's what I would always recommend. Okay, so why would you invest into sealed Pokemon products? We'll look at just one example here from an older quote-unquote set in Evolving Skies. The MSRP of an Evolving Skies booster box was $120 on release. Today they sell for, basically call it $1,500. So for a more recent example, I'm going to talk about Obsidian Flames, mainly because I just always talk about Obsidian Flames in so many of my old videos. At release, you could pick up booster boxes for about $100, $110. Over the course of the past year, it's already gone up $100 to the most recent sales at in and around $210. So the price movement for the more modern sets is just as palpable as the movement on some of the older sets as well. Also, as much as I hate to do this, there is obviously the play of scalping with modern Pokemon products. It's happening like wildfire with prismatic evolutions, where people are running into their Walmarts, getting something at MSRP and then pricing it at its actual market price. So example, we'll look at the prismatic evolutions booster bundle. The MSRP on this is like 26 bucks, and the market for them is right at about 80, which is why scalping even exists in the first place. When it comes to identifying the best sets to invest into sealed product, you really have to look at the hits and the chase cards that are contained in each set. So a set like Prismatic Evolutions, the writing was all over the wall, where Evolutions were the chase cards, and everybody loves pulling a good Evolution. So, I mean, this set had more hype around it than anything I had seen in recent memory. But for a main series set, such as, again, I'll talk about Obsidian Flames, where Charizard was the chase card. Again, the writing is on the wall. Like, if you can see what the SIR is at release, and you know it's a Charizard and it's a beautiful artwork, that does something to the sealed product longer term, because people are always going to want to chase and pull that card. So there you guys have it. Those are 3 accessible ways that you can invest into Pokemon cards, be it in sealed, slabs, or raw cards. I will say that, of course, again, any investment doesn't come without its risks. Just because something is one price today doesn't mean it'll be that same price or more in 3 years from now. And there's obviously risks involved, and you have to really assess your own situation, your own risk tolerance, your own financial ability before you pull the trigger on any sort of investing when it comes to Pokemon. It's an incredible community to be in. There's a lot of good, there's obviously a lot of bad that's being demonstrated right now, but at the end of the day, it's something that I enjoy doing. I have enjoyed doing for years now, and it's not something that I plan on stopping doing anytime soon, mainly because I have fun in doing it. I enjoy making this kind of content. And if you guys picked up anything in this video, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to my channel. Again, I'm always putting out Pokemon related content. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.